Women's Equality Day will be celebrated later today at Dallas City Hall, a commemoration of women gaining the right to vote. Economists tell us when it comes to pay, women still trail men. Susan McElroy, a professor of economics from UTD, joins us to look at the numbers. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
Appreciate it. So, have women achieved equality? I guess that's the big question. And when I look at everything and you look at the numbers, the answer is sort of, right?
The answer is sort of, because the gender gap in pay has narrowed, but it has not closed.
Right, exactly. So let's take a look at the numbers here. Pay gap estimates vary, but still confirm women earn between 77 to 84 cents on the dollar compared to men. There's a lot of people that say, well, that's because there's a lot of women that work part-time. How much do you think that really impacts these numbers?
Part-time versus full-time work is extremely important for how much people earn. However, that 77 cents figure means that women's average earnings are 77% of what men earn on average.
Right.
That figure is actually based on workers who are employed year-round and full-time.
So what's it going to take?
It's probably going to take a lot more of what has already happened. The most important factor that determines how much people earn is their education level. And so if you were to go back 20 or 30 years, you'd see a wider gap or difference in the average education level of men and women in the United States labor force.
Yeah.
But now the gap in education has narrowed.
Right, we're seeing a lot more people attend college.
A lot more
there's
people.
Also been a huge push, I know, for young women to get more involved in the math and sciences fields.
There has been, and that's really important for earnings. What happens is that even though women are just as likely, particularly younger women, are just as likely, almost as likely now to be college graduates as their male counterparts, the differences are still quite wide in college majors. So that if you look at a major like engineering, for example, you're going to see a lot fewer women in that major as opposed to, say, for example, elementary education.
Right.
And so that has implications for the earnings attached to the careers that those college majors will lead you to.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I recently read this article and it says that millennial men, basically our youngest generation, that they've been surrounded by high achieving women for most of their lives. And so when you ask them how they feel, if they think men and women are equal, they tend to see it, they tend to say yes, more than someone who's maybe of an older generation. So is it a generational thing too?
To some degree it is generational. I can imagine that younger men the millennials that you referred to, might have the perception that since they saw just as many women in college, for example, that once those students graduate and join the workforce, that there won't be a gender gap in pay anymore. But in fact, the gender gap in pay still exists.
Still very much alive.
It still exists, but it's narrowing. And as I mentioned, the education level of women has really been gaining on the education level of men.
Nice
so
to
that
see.
makes a difference in the pay.
Yeah, go girls. We want to see them rise even more, right? Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
All right, happy Women's Equality Day today. And for a link to more research, by the way, on the gender pay gap, we have it posted on our website, myfoxdfw.com.